I love how so many modern day lessons that we hear and we read about in books originated in scriptures. But a lot of people don't know how to study scripture, so therefore they miss the deep, meaningful lessons. And they end up finding it out through another means or book. And I want to give you an example of this. We've all heard the term scapegoat, right? Scapegoat actually originated in ancient Hebrew culture, and you will find this term and this whole process in Leviticus chapter 16. This is where a goat was chosen to take on the sins, the guilt, the burdens of the people, and the priest laid hands and in essence transferred all this guilt and sin to the scapegoat, and then the scapegoat is released into the wilderness. In ancient Jewish customs, this is called also the goat of Azazel, which is meaning this goat is taking the sins back to the demon, back to hell where it belongs, and getting it out of the community, so to speak. And this term also in a lesser preferred translation means strength of God. Now, in modern times, bring it forward. We hear the term scapegoat a lot when talking about a person who is trying to break sin and cycles of pattern and behaviors in families, whether it's dysfunction or abuse. And a lot of times people end up having to leave the community in order to do that, because it is often rejected when they try to confront the sin or confront the ongoing behaviors. And this child is usually called the scapegoat, because the blame and guilt all get labeled on them, and then they end up ostracized and cut off from the family. But it is through the strength of God that they in turn carry the sin and the guilt and the shame that gets placed on them, and they carry it out into this wilderness on their backs, and they fight the demons, they battle with spiritual warfare, and they break the chains. And I want to remind you that if you're a scapegoat in the family and you're facing seasons of wilderness, whether it's days, weeks, months, some people years, that it's in the wilderness that the Israelites find their freedom. And it is in the wilderness for a scapegoat that they find their freedom from sin cycles, from Satan's reach, from dysfunction, from chains, from patterns, from generational curses. And this is the origin of the scapegoat based on biblical scriptures, where we see it mirrored out in the way they did the sacrifices. I just love how we can learn so many life lessons from the Bible. The Bible can truly teach us about any and all situations, but we have to be willing to dig, and we have to be willing to study, and we have to be willing to pray that God will open our eyes to the deeper meanings and lessons in everything He's teaching us.